a crazy group of guys.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. They when they partied, they partied.
Back,
It was just a giant beer garden, and the front of the bar is 3 or 4 deep with bikes.
That sounds fun.
and I'm like, what are you doing? He's got one hand on the center riser, so the screws started coming out on the riser, and his handlebars started like falling.
Everybody that lives with us had some level of memory care need, and so they're not people who can make a phone call when there's a problem.
Welcome to another episode of the ADHD Expressed. I'm your host, Brian Carlson. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, now is a great time to give us a subscribe and a like. Today, you guys, I've got a great guest coming for you. It's my dear friend, Alex Dark. Alex has been on quite the journey, taking him around the country. He's started multiple businesses, moved on to different businesses, kind of a good example of ways to progress in your entrepreneurial career. Alex spent some time riding with a motorcycle club. Let's go hear what he's got to say. Okay, and that kicks off another episode of the ADHD Express. Welcome, you guys. Hey, I'm Brian, your host. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, now is the time to like and subscribe. Give us a comment on the show and go watch another episode. But today, just to introduce everybody, we've got Joe and Daniel as always.
Hey, yo.
Thanks for being here, you guys. I appreciate it. They threw me off today. They were way earlier than they normally are. And it was surprising. I thought there was someone new coming. And then we've got another wonderful guest. We've got my dear friend, Alex Dark. Alex, what's going on, man?
Hey, not much. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Thanks
I appreciate
for being
it.
on the show.
Yeah,
dude.
you know,
Took
I'm
a day
always
out.
up for last minute invites.
I know, huh? So, okay, now that you brought it up. So we had a guy Lance Williams. Do you know Lance?
Describe him and maybe I do.
So Lance Williams was he made a name for himself, made a living as a mortgage guy, and has since retired from that business and is full-time painting, not houses though, like art. Like he is an artist painter.
Fun. I bet actually I probably do have a connection with him because I'm one level above acquaintances with Luke Frazier,
Okay.
who does a lot of wildlife art, and he hits the big Western festivals and is usually
Yep.
relatively successful
Yep.
there.
Okay.
So you probably are, once Lance comes on, you'll probably be like, oh, I do know that guy. So anyway, so Lance was going to come on, but he had a shot to go to a camp for an artist that he really, really, really respects. And he was late to the deadline to apply. And so he was like in the backup seat, and they called him on Friday and said, hey, if you can get here, it's in Colorado. They're like, you can be on in the class. And so then he calls me and he was all apologetic. And I'm like, honestly, I was like, don't even worry, dude. I'm like, we film this thing twice a week, no matter what. I was like, so he's coming on the 4th of June instead. And so you got to come today instead of the 4th of June.
Hey,
Because you were on my list to call for the
Sweet.
June schedule. I'm doing that like as we speak. So yeah. Does anybody else see that spider that's just rappelled down right next to me?
Little Miss
I thought I
Moffat.
saw a little speck of red on its back.
Yeah. It wouldn't be surprised. No, that's fluff. I don't know where the spider went, but anyways, it's
We
okay.
don't
I'm
need
just
to know
going to
where the
ignore
spider
him.
went.
No, I don't
It's
care.
always better if it's a surprise.
Are you kidding me, dude? It's what day is today? Tuesday? I think I was in 5 different nasty crawl spaces yesterday. No, there's another one. There must be a whole hatch of spiders coming down. There's another one right here. We got an egg sack that just hatched in the middle of the podcast. Yay for life. So I'm a live and let live type. I don't really care. I won't kill them.
Yeah, they're better in order to keep the insects away, right?
Right, exactly. Okay, so anyway, let's back to this. Sorry, we got all sidetracked there.
ADHD.
It is. Well, like this light is really highlighting this spider right there. If anybody else. Yeah. So, okay, Alex. So normally, like everybody, you have done a few different things because you guys relocated to Utah, right?
Yeah, in 2012, I decided that I was done living in Western Washington.
Yeah.
And
So I guess I didn't realize the date. Okay, so 20 is that? So when you moved here, is that when you started Autumn Care?
no, that came a few years after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, like, why don't you give us a quick run through, dude? Because I guess I've known you for a few years. So just again, you guys have heard this from me 1,000 times. Well, not 1,000 times. I guess this is only the 26th podcast. So for me, this 26 times. But I've met him. He was in our BNI chapter, and so BNI, you guys, is more than just business. Like, I mean, I'm not even a member anymore, and we're still friends.
Yeah.
Like, so
100%.
So that
You
works great.
finally
And-
grew your beard back, I see too.
I did. Well, and you know what's funny is, so part of that was like the video log. So this is like the 3rd week of January when I started growing
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
Like it grows fast.
That's yeah.
I have a
Yeah,
video
that's-
that of when we first met the end of last summer,
Mhm.
and he is completely clean shaven.
Yeah.
in the thing that we're filming, and I was going back to it to go upload it 2 days ago, and I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah, I know
Like
everybody thinks it's like a
quadrupled.
year or whatever, and I'm just like, no, man. Like, why do you think I don't drink caffeine? Like, it's worse. So, but no, anyways, yeah.
So Western Washington,
Yeah.
it's a heck of a jump.
Yeah. So I lived in Olympia and outside Olympia.
I know Olympia.
Okay. Yeah, my family bounced around quite a bit when I was growing up. We landed there. I was about 12, I want to say, when we landed in Olympia, and that was where I lived. Still the longest, but Cache Valley's getting close.
That's still a really cool place.
Even
Yeah.
cooler now. I mean, never mind. Not cool here.
No. I meant there was cool.
Yeah. Cool. Sometimes.
Well, I mean, I've never lived there, so I've just visited. I have an aunt who lives in Squim. That's pretty close, isn't it?
Squim is up on the peninsula on the coast.
Okay, so
on the sound side.
Okay,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's up on the coast up in there. That is a pretty area. There's a lot less people over there because it's a pain in the ass.
That
to commute
explains
back
why
and forth
I like it.
to-
Okay, because yeah, like I was like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. Yeah.
Well, not very many. There's not that many people up there because it's highly seasonal
Yep.
as far as when you can earn a living,
Mhm.
or you're commuting over to the other side of the sound on a daily
Gotcha.
basis. So you're either going around, which is like
Or-
4 hours, or you're taking a ferry every day, and you're taking a ferry every day.
Right. He's like, that's the answer. You're not driving 4 hours. You're taking a ferry.
You're taking a ferry. and
Because it was like
it's
an
a pain
hour.
in the ass.
Like an hour each
Mhm.
way.
Depends on what time of day you got to commute. A lot of people, because it's easier, will walk on. They'll keep a car on both sides, and they'll just walk on and off because it's faster. Because they can just walk on all the time. They don't
I
have to wait in the
gotcha.
car line.
I gotcha. Oh my gosh. I guess I didn't even realize. Yeah, they would ferry a car, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Motorcycle.
Motorcycle.
But
Yeah,
you had
it's
an
easy.
even prettier place. I don't know. One of my favorite places in the fall is over there by Olympia because you guys have beautiful, beautiful colors every time. Am I
Really?
thinking of the right place?
No.
Right over by Portland?
No. Vancouver. You're thinking of Vancouver.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm
We have,
thinking of Battleground.
we have like almost
Battleground.
no deciduous trees
Really?
up along the Puget Sound. It's almost all evergreen
Oh,
pines
Gotcha.
and Doug firs and cedars, and
Yep. Okay.
so it's just green all the time.
yeah.
If you have claustrophobia, like I don't
That's not the
recommend.
pla- 'cause the-
not the place
yeah.
for you because you can't see around the next bend in the road.
Right.
Well, there's the fun in that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what brought you this way?
Almost a dart and a map, like, is not very far off.
Wait, did you meet Kyra here? Or did you
Yeah.
guys- Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I moved down here with a girlfriend that I had that I don't have anymore,
Yeah.
obviously. Wink.
Wink. I don't know. Don't do that. Your wife might see this.
She knows I don't.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have the emotional capacity to handle anybody else other than my wife. That's all I got in me. She knows that.
Yep.
She's very secure in that I can't even meet her emotional needs.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to be doing that with
I'm
somebody.
not going to pick up another one.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what's
Too much
funny?
work.
Funny about that is like, man, I'm the crazy one in our relationship. That's what my wife always says. She's like, "Are you kidding me?" She's like, "You know why I don't have any hobbies?" She's like, "Because I have you." And I always feel bad. She's like, "Don't. It's fine." She's like, "You're plenty interesting."
I'm the domestic one.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to have one. Honestly,
I do.
I think a
I do
good mix.
most of the cooking, most of the cleaning, all of the laundry. Like, I'm the domestic one.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
You have to have one. You have to be that way.
Somebody's got to be that way.
So like, yeah, somebody's got to be that way. And so like,
houses don't run themselves.
no, they don't. And it's either a train wreck. And it's funny because as in my business going through all the different homes, like I can tell the homes that we got two crazies. Like you can just tell.
Yeah.
Like it is not a good situation.
Yeah. So, anyways, in Western Washington, I was in banking, worked at a credit union, and I had this long-term relationship that I probably, at the time, I thought this is probably the one, right? The
Mhm.
thing. And we were just, for about a year, we just were mean to each other.
That sucks.
And
That's
and,
hard.
and we just did bad shit to each other, and it kind of, to a point where it wasn't repairable. Being that we were both in our mid-20s, right? It wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I was angry about that, got a little bit depressed. I pulled myself out of that, luckily. And I was just tired of living up there. I was tired of the reminders and the stuff that, um, it just made me sad or mad to look at.
Mhm.
And so I was like,
Yep.
I was deep into hiking and climbing at the time. And I was like, I want to go move into the mountains. I've never lived in the middle of the country. I want to live in the middle of the country somewhere by the mountains, right?
Wow, it
Not
really
like the actual middle because that's flat and boring, but like by the mountains.
Choosing a side.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I want someplace not too big, not too small, someplace that's got good access to the mountains and hiking and climbing. And I wanted a climbing gym. And so I started to look places basically from the Canadian border down to, into northern Arizona, essentially. My first thing I was like, whitefish. Oh yeah, I kind of want to get into the winter stuff. Whitefish. Okay. Let's go check out whitefish. So my as a Christmas present that year, my brother was like, yeah, we're just gonna go. Him and his spouse and then me and the girl that I was dating, and so we went to whitefish. And then we got in and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So then we went into town one night and we were, there's a bunch of restaurants in Whitefish. You've been in Whitefish,
Mhm.
it's a touristy place, right? There's a bunch of restaurants in the main part of town. And we walk into one and we're like, hey, and we walk into this restaurant and it probably seats 50. I kid you not, there was like 8 people in the dining room.
Okay.
Oh.
And not like it was like 7 o'clock. It wasn't like
Yeah.
so it was like they should have been busy.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
walk in and we're like, oh yeah, with seat for 4, right? And table for 4.
Sit you right down.
And they go, did you make a reservation? Kind of look over and like, do I need to?
It's
They're like,
heavy.
yeah, if you don't have a reservation, it'll be like an hour wait. Like, I'm never living in a town that's like like snobby and like
Yeah.
look down my like nose because I didn't make a reservation at a restaurant
Empty.
that obviously needs the business.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
I've never experienced anything like
Whitefish
that.
out for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's valid.
That is valid.
yeah. And so, and I had been looking for a little bit of work at the time. Don't often look like it, but I'm a bookkeeper accountant by trade.
Mhm.
And so I found a job here in Hyde Park, got hired on over 3 Zoom calls.
Oh, wow.
And
That was back in 12.
that was
11,
back in 12. Yeah. I had 3 business days that I was out of a job.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
Dang.
lived in a hotel for about a week while I was looking for a place
That's
when I first
crazy.
moved here. Yeah.
Wow.
That was
just
right when
went
I
to
was
work.
going through all my court stuff.
Yeah. And that was when I said, yeah,
Crazy.
moved and started working and in 2012 and then that guy and I and another partner we started Autumn Care in 15.
Yeah.
I went over our operator partner
Yeah.
had to bail. One of her daughters had some pretty severe mental health issues. And so needed full-time attention
that's
for
too bad.
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I remember this. I think I knew you when this was happening.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's about when we met, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's when I popped
Yep.
over to Autumn Care
Mhm.
and started to operate that business. And I did it for 2.5 years, got it to a point where we could hand it off to a hired administrator.
Yeah.
And they've got the 3rd building up and running now. They've got a great marketing consultant that I met during the CE I had to do
Mhm.
as part of the licensing. And so they're just rocking and rolling now.
That's awesome, dude. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that. So
And
you don't have a
and
day-to-day or what?
I spend 0 time over there.
I didn't know that. When did that happen?
October?
Okay. So pretty recent. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. That's good enough. That's about when I left BNI. So right about
Yeah.
when your
Yeah.
ship started sailing.
Yep, yeah.
Well,
And
that's awesome,
It took
dude.
me 4 months to figure out a routine when I didn't have to be somewhere.
Yeah. So what are you doing
Yeah.
now?
I do a little bit of side bookkeeping. Do you remember Taylor Thomas? I'm
Oh, yeah.
helping him a
Mhm.
little bit.
Cool. Yep. Good dude.
Seth Johnson, I'm helping
Yep,
him a
yep.
little bit. And Ben and I are still trying to make stuff happen
Yep.
with real estate development. The Preston apartments are they're there finally.
That's awesome.
We actually have a tenant in the east one, and the west building should be open before the end of the summer.
That's awesome. Very cool, man. Very cool. I didn't even think about you guys. We got to talk. Make sure before you leave, we need to talk about because I'm trying to sell my island development project.
Okay.
So I have to free up some stuff, and that's one of the easiest ones. So
Okay.
it's unfortunate because it's also like the lowest hanging fruit, but that's why it's the easiest to unload.
right. Because like you can just automatically put 5 houses here, or
Well,
whatever it
3
is.
is a problem. So you have to basically build them to make the money. Like that's what you're buying the lots for what they are, and then you have
Gotcha.
to. If you build the houses though, then you'll make your money.
Sure.
So, but anyways, we don't need to get into that on the podcast. Real estate stuff.
Yeah, we start talking about nuts and bolts and percentages, and
I know, right? Well,
everyone who watches will be like, "Oh my god, it's so boring."
well, so they won't though. So here's the deal, bro. So like I haven't talked to you about this. So here a couple weeks ago, my kid, well, I guess that's respect. I don't know. My son, his boss races at LS Fest. Do you know what LS Fest is? So it's a big, huge car show racing event put on by Holly Performance out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So you got drag racing, road course, autocross, off-road, burnout pit, donut pit, all that kind of stuff, all at the same time with like probably 800 car show, all at the same time, like for 3 days. And so like it's amazing. So they were going, and it's hard as your kids get older, people who know this, like it's hard to get the family together on a trip. So the last couple of trips we haven't had my son. And so, because he's 20 now, he's working, he's got a girlfriend, all those things. And so they were going, and so we were like, cool, guess we're all going to LS Fest. So I drug my wife and the girls. Well, then Joe, who's brilliant, and the reason I introduced him as my media guy, because he's kind of the media guy. He's like, hey man, he goes, did you think to apply for a press pass? And I was like, wait, I can do that? And he goes, well, yeah, you have a media company. And I was like, oh, and I was like, okay. So I hurried up and jumped online, and I applied for a press pass. And you have to put your links, like what you do. And so I put the link for the podcast, the YouTube channel, all my social media stuff, and they approved us.
Wait.
Like, yeah, dude, all you had to have that RSS feed was it. And then I was like, so then I had my son who was going, but he still had to pay to get in, right? So he applied to be my assistant and got press pass. And so he also has his YouTube channel, and he did, like I said, that's what you're supposed to do, is post stuff, tag at, LS Fest, Holly Performance. And so we've done all that. We've did what we were supposed to do, but like, basically it's like the ultimate backstage pass, bro.
Well, yeah, you get way better access.
So anyways, I was to say the real estate tie in there. So I was one of the first media people to show up because I was excited and I was eager, and I kind of was just hanging out, and I met this dude who was just kind of like walking through and talking to himself, really funny guy. And so I just started talking to him and started walking with him, and we were just kind of shooting the shit a little bit. And he asked, what I was doing and what I was doing there. And so I just kind of told him, I was like, listen, man, like, I don't really know anything. I'm like, we started this podcast in January. I was like, we have this other business that does great, and I've got real estate, da, 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 da. He was like, out of all of that, he goes, oh, real estate, huh? He goes, yeah. He goes, that's what I'm trying to get into. He's like, and so he is also like, he's one of the marketing directors for McLaren Racing. Like, and so he invited us to come do the McLaren Racing Simulator. So we're going back to do that, and we're going to go and create a whole show and podcast him.
I'm
going
to hide in the back of your truck.
I know, right? But it was just kind of, and he invited me. Very cool, man. He's like, well, hey, man, since let me show you around. Why don't you just ride with me? I'm like, okay. So I mean, he like introduced me to everybody and everybody knows this dude. So then I go following him, and he is kind of well known in the car industry and all that stuff. Very well known photographer and all that kind of thing. And so it was just really cool that he like took me under his wing a little bit and stuff. But like, yeah, dude, it was all just kind of like, this is the stuff that's opening that door and like making it happen, and like,
sweet.
But that real estate. So we sat there and talked a whole lot about it, kind of gave him my spiel. Robert Brown and I always like to call it the get rich slow scheme. I don't know if you've ever heard him talk about that.
I don't think so.
Buying real estate stuff. And so, yeah, I think I've talked about that on one of the podcasts before. You guys can go reference that one. But yeah, it was, it's real estate. It doesn't get you rich fast. It gets you rich slow. It takes years and years and years and dedication and commitment and
patience.
And then as soon as you do something dumb like I did and build this big monstrous house and use all your real estate money, then you don't get to play in the game anymore until you save up a bunch more money. So it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyhow, so yeah, get rich slow scheme. That's the way to do it. So I explained that to him, and he's loving it. And so he's working on doing some stuff. And
on that get rich slow, man, we're waiting on a farmer to make a decision. It's been like 6 months
on some other land that you want to sell.
Yeah. And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
But you can't pressure it because
you can't just say like, hey, shit or get off the pot, man.
Right.
Because you're trying to get him to get like you want his ground.
Yep. And he'll just go to the next guy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Who's willing to just sit there and wait.
Right.
Did you take him snowmobile? I guess you can't go snowmobiling right now. Dang it. It's always a good way around here. That's what I always try to tell guys. Well, I'm trying to get in with these guys. I'm like, oh, do you snowmobile?
Yeah.
No. And I'm like, well, that's the problem. Around here, if you got a successful construction dude, you better snowmobile or else he ain't going to like you. Or kill shit, kill things. Like that's about the other thing. You need to hunt. You need to have a cool story every time you see him about something you just shot and show him a picture of a dead animal. I mean, like, that's just how it
you're
works.
Not wrong. Yeah.
I've been around in this state a long time, bro. Like you.
I wish I liked hunting. I just don't.
I don't either, dude. I've done it, and so I'm a really good shot. Like I do some competitive shooting and stuff, and like I just don't like killing stuff. Like I don't mind. Like I would rather, like I'll go with you and help you. You could shoot the deer or the elk or whatever, and I'll even help you dress it. Like I'm fine. I don't want to do it. I'm at the point now, dude. I'd rather shoot it with a camera. Yeah. I'm totally into this camera stuff and the video stuff. Like it's so much fun. I'm sorry if you ever go down that path. And then, as you know, on camera gear, like, dude, it's expensive. There's so much stuff. And every time you buy one thing, then you start, oh, there's like 15 options that are way cooler than this one. And then you buy the top option and then you're like, wow, I can even go further. There's another 15, just sky's the limit, man. If you got the Benjamins, man, you can do whatever you want in the film world.
Right. It's definitely one of those interesting ones. I think that's why a lot of people will take and they'll create a company that's a separate company that buys all of their equipment they rent from themselves. So then whenever they go out and do things, they're like, yeah, I got to
tax break.
Yep, that's right. That's how you're smart.
Speed up the depreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you mind talking about your motorcycle stuff here for a minute?
Sure.
Tell us about the motorcycle club.
It's not a club.
It's not a club.
We're never
That's
a club.
Okay, valid, because there's now, for those of you who don't know, being a motorcycle club has like significant meaning and there is a lot that goes into it. And so you don't fake the motorcycle club stuff. You will get hurt.
You're a club. Yeah.
Yes. And if you're not, you do not.
Don't put that goddamn bottom rocker on.
Do not put the bottom rocker on.
Jesus. Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah. You have to qualify in a club. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. That's not for your everyday person.
No. I mean, those guys have to have a balance of like legit and well, the other shit they do.
Sure.
But
no, there's still a difference. No, I know, but there's people from biker clubs from Mexico all over. I've met and hung out with a lot of them. And like, yeah, dude, I'm no more. I like to ride a motorcycle like as much as the next dude, but like, I don't have that free spirit that they possess. I wish I did, but I just don't have it. That's it's a different kind of a person. They're very, very free.
Yeah.
We used to know a guy named John. He was a member of Vegas.
Okay, it's Vagos.
Vagos.
I know.
Do you know what it translates to?
Yeah, vagabond.
Vagabond. Like that blew my mind when I heard it. I was like, that's
when
funny.
When that club started coming up in here to Utah, I actually got to do home inspections for a bunch of the leaders, like the road captain. I cannot remember his name.
We have a mutual acquaintance that's very good friends with one of their state leadership.
Yeah,
guys.
I've met him as well. Yeah. Oh wait, yeah, that's right, Ben.
Yeah,
and then the guy. I'm trying to think of the guy's name, with long hair.
Yeah, he runs.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he wants his name out there.
I know,
but yeah. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it's like I've had nothing but good interactions with them. But again, I'm also just a business dude interacting with them on a professional level. And like, it's,
none of the other politics are getting involved.
Nor would I.
Well, yeah, me neither.
In fact, I've got a 9-year-old, and until she's 18, I'm probably not getting another road bike, which is really a big bummer because I miss it so bad, you guys.
Yeah.
I miss you. Have no idea. Well, you do. You have a bike.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
She's a bullet.
So anyway, I was a member of the T90. It was literally T90. The town's T90 motorcycle team. Drill team, not motorcycle team. Motorcycle drill team. It's been so long.
Yeah.
So we did precision riding in parades and another charitable events. We would do a couple longer-ish runs a year. We'd do like a couple overnighters to the other side of the state or out to the coast. There's actually a really cool rally that we were always involved with called Sun and Surf out in Ocean Shores. There's a little it's not little, it's pretty good size. A little biker kind of bike. It turned into a biker bar uh, called the Green Lantern, which was a little bit north of Ocean Shores.
Oh,
And so during this week of the Sun and Surf run, they had this yard out in the back that was fenced in. They would just line it with tents and just it was just a giant beer garden, and the front of the bar is 3 or 4 deep
oh.
with bikes.
That sounds fun.
It is a hell of a good time. I remember one year I was I was out there with the guys, and we had 2 long-term members, and so they were really accustomed to riding with each other. And so they walked out, get on their bikes, so they're going to go to the hotel. They've been drinking for I don't know 3 or 4 hours.
Mhm.
They're pretty drunk, and the one guy gets on his bike, and this is gravel, right? Kind of loosish gravel. He gets on his bike,
Yeah.
puts his feet down, tells his wife, "Okay, get on." She gets on, and they just go bloop. So 2 of us grab his handlebars, stand him up straight, and go, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm okay."
Yeah, I'm going
And then
through
I
it.
follow these 2, and then they take off, and I'm following them. I'm by myself, and they're just riding down the road. We're going on not too fast. It's a slow country road, 35, 40 miles an hour, and they're just sitting there about 6 to 8 inches apart. Their crash bars is all just looking at each other, talking, having a conversation, and just weaving together through this. The land was like, man, I hope we get where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're behind. them.
Yeah, and I'm like,
you're going too.
Like, shit, don't get tangled up, guys.
Yeah.
Do it.
I missed part of that,
Anyways.
but that sounded awesome. Were they going
Gosh.
fast doing that?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay, just
no.
cruising
They were
along.
they were just cruising 35, 40. It was a
Okay.
slow, like,
That's what I bit the part I missed. Yeah,
but still, like, they were not looking at the road. They were looking at each other, talking.
They left the bar.
Yeah.
thing.
I know. We used to ride like that too.
I
back
my
in the day.
oh man, one of my very early introductions to that, we went. Yeah, I think it was Squim actually.
Okay.
We did a parade in Squim, and we always went first. We go in front of the color guard because we take up a ton of space. So we do our thing, and then we always peel off to whatever the closest bar is. This was I don't know the name of this bar. Had a little patio. We were sitting outside watching the rest of the parade, getting drunk, and then it's time to go because it's only a day ride up
Yeah.
there. And it was the same guy that we picked up, right? A couple years later. But he said, "Hey, I don't feel so great. If I get a little, I'm gonna ride on the inside. If I get a little wobbly, just kick me into the ditch."
You're like, okay.
Okay.
And that was my first year on the team. I didn't know if he was serious or not.
He's like, oh well, okay.
Yeah.
That's
So,
pretty funny.
He did fine though
Yeah, he
on the
did all
ride
right.
back. But that
Dang.
was I don't know if you've ever ridden 101 up
I have not.
the inside of
No,
the
it was always something we wanted to do and we just never made it.
that section of it up the Puget Sound.
Mhm.
It's gorgeous, and there is not a quarter mile of straight road for 50 miles.
Wow.
It's gorgeous, and you're on the water half the time.
Right.
That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Big trees. There's a couple great places you can stop and get live oysters.
Mm.
Good times.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. So I was trying to plan back before I got rid of my bikes. I was trying to plan actually a trip doing that. I had a friend who lived up in Portland, and I was going to try to go to basically to California and then try to coast up just to have the experience of riding up.
You
that whole
you know
coastline on a
maybe you
bike.
should think. So our Vagos friend is selling his 03 Road King.
Oh, is he really?
It's a pretty bike.
I bet.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in the spot, and I if I did, I'd probably because of my affiliation with the adventure bike stuff, I'd have to get an adventure bike right now. That's kind of what I would need to do.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Soon enough.
Huh?
Soon
enough. Anyways, yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's awesome, dude.
So
No.
I rode with them for a few years, and then I moved down here. That's why I stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And haven't really found another group of guys to.
It's just not. I mean, you have Up here,
It's
like it's the Vagos, and that's and then like a VA club, and that's about it.
right. Are there even Sundowners around anymore, or is that club done away with?
I have no idea. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I think that club might be done away with. That was the club when I was a kid growing up. My dad's business. Down on, they would all hang out on
Almost.
Angelo's on 25th Street in Ogden before they cleaned it up.
Oh. Yeah, everyone
So we used
around
to buy
here
weed when we were in high school. We'd go to this bar and
everyone around here is such a casual rider. They're fair weather.
right.
They don't.
Yeah.
If they have to go very far, they don't want to be on their bike.
No, they trailer them. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that, dude. Like, I never, like, where Chris's brother, my wife's brother, and I, when we were doing the business in Vegas, like, that's why I put 20,000 miles a year on my bike, is we rode our bikes back and forth from Vegas. So we'd go out on Monday, be there all week, riding your motorcycle, and then you'd ride home on Friday.
Yeah.
Like, and we did that all the day. And it was fun. And actually, funny story about that, like, talking about all the crazy stuff. So we were all pretty much of the idea that you should be doing 105 everywhere. If you're on the highway, like, you 105, you're always passing people. You don't have to worry about cars coming up on you. And you're just kind of going that fast. Like, you're just really aware. And so we would just rip down the highway all the time. So anyway, so there we are. And one of the years, I'm trying to think, so this is back in my spice business, right? Money was abounding. I had helped Chris's little brother. I basically bought him a brand new Crossbones Harley, and then he was just going to make me payments, right? No interest kind of a thing, just to hook him up. And so what they don't tell you about a brand new Harley is that you have to go through and basically disassemble that bike and put Loctite on everything because they kind of vibrate apart. Like there's a recommended Harley Davidson maintenance course you're supposed to take where they teach you all of that shit. So anyway, so Brian had no idea, and so I'm on my Victory at the time, and so we're ripping down the highway, right? Just chumming along, probably about 100 miles an hour, and like he comes running up next to me. And I thought he was like wanting to test out the new bike. And I'm just like, there's no way, dude. And so I drop a gear, just and rip into it, right? And I'm 130 miles an hour on that. Yeah, I just ripped away from him on my Victory, because my Victory was it was very built. It was a lot faster than his stock Harley. Not that that was a bad bike. It just, mine was built and his was stock. And so anyways, so I take off, and he's like, doesn't even try to keep up really. And I was like, well, that was weird. So I slow it back down, and he comes up next to me again, and I thought he was doing the same thing. So I go to rip away. And then the third time, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's got one hand on the center riser, so the screws started coming out on the riser, and his handlebars started like falling. His big old ape hangers that he's having a hard time hanging on to. So he's got one hand trying to hold the thing from the screws from coming out, get my attention. I believe he ended up just pulling over, and I had to go back for him. And then
That's sketchy.
had to sit there and toolkit everything, and like it was pretty funny. But like, yeah, then he found out about the recommended maintenance program, and he went through and disassembled everything and Loctited it all, and it was a great bike. Yep. After that. Anyways,
yeah, that's sketchy thing,
dude, right? Yeah.
Of all things to start failing.
I don't know. You're telling those stories about those guys, and I was like, I remember that day. And then another time, actually, his bachelor party, we all went out to Wendover, and there was probably like 25 of us on bikes, and it was that same thing. It was like this 105 mile an hour blast across there with that many bikes, and like you just pass the cops and they just sit there.
It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like it was good times, man. It was good times. I remember the ride home, everybody's like, all right, tight formation, but everybody's like hungover and messed up, and it was like the dudes on the bullet bikes are like 150. They're just gone. Like, the group just like fell apart. Then the guys with the windshields are, doing 70, or with no windshields doing 70. And then the rest of us are, it's miserable.
Hard. It's a lot of work to ride with no windshield,
bro.
It's an ass workout.
I'm aware because I started my bike with no windshield. Like it was cool, and I used to commute on it. And like you just get tired, bro. Like at the end of after a long ride, and so I bought a windshield. Yeah. I did. It makes all the difference.
Around town, it's no big deal, but if you're gonna go on a long run,
if you're on the highway, well, so actually, I don't know if I ever told you this. So the reason I got the windshield for real, I was chumming up on I-15. And in Ogden, where it necks down to the 2 lanes, and there are 2 semi trucks doing the old drag race. So I'm in the left lane right up on him because, you're aggressive, whatever. Probably should have been back a little further, and this whole situation could have been avoided. But his backmost retread came off of his trailer tire and hit me on my motorcycle. It came out and I think it was the one, because it came out and got chucked up. And then it came out. And it was like, and I was like, there was nowhere for me to go. I went over to there's a car here, and I went right. I remember like looking at the dude, and like my handlebar was like right next to his mirror, and that tire clipped me, on the way back. And I remember like, ooh, and like I almost come off my bike and everything, and like it was so scary. But Thank God. Not, I mean, nothing happened. I was able to ride it myself, and I didn't go off the road. And
Yeah.
but like, I
Getting a
remember then getting the
windshield
windshield.
tomorrow.
Remember getting the windshield? Yeah, I was like, yeah, definitely gonna spend the $800, $900 on a windshield.
Yeah, or like,
Worth it.
or just like rocks getting thrown at you.
Yeah.
At that
Oh my
speed, man.
Well, even not even a rock, a
Hurts.
bug.
Yeah, it hurts.
Like taking a bug to the face. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. In fact, I quit. It's a funny story. I learned the lesson about the whole full face helmet. So, because when you wear a full face, well, because you wear one, right? When you stop,
yeah.
you're hot, and so you kick it open, and then you
Yeah.
start chumming along. I got a bee inside that sucker, and it stung like 3-4 times before I could get it.
Oh no.
Man, I don't know why there's been such a occurrence on social media of people finding spiders in their helmet and it just starts crawling out onto their face
Oh,
or
yeah.
onto their visor. Oh,
Nope.
every single
diving
time
off
that
the
person
bike
is
now.
jumping off the bike and rolling around.
I bet. So I have a cure for that. So you'll no longer be scared of spiders. Be a home inspector for a few years. So like legitimately,
Well, Brian's hiring.
Yeah. So the last time I had a big beard like this, there was a time I had. So my beard is long enough for those of you who are just listening to the podcast. My beard is long enough that if I crawl my belly in a crawl space, my beard just drags in the dirt. And so, anyways, that's what it was last time. And anyways, you pick up hitchhikers, right? Like
Oh.
wasps and stuff will like burrow in. Like when I'm out doing a home inspection, I'm getting in your electrical panel. Like I've found them. I've come home and had like the bees or wasps come flying out of my beard that I had no idea were there. So anyway, so look, I'm doing this home inspections, right? It's nasty, dirty work. I get home. We're supposed to go to dinner with some people, and I was late. So my wife's like, "Hey, just change your shirt. Let's go." And I'm like, "I'm pretty dirty." She's like, "Well, just do a quick wash up. We got to go." Okay. So we're sitting at dinner with this couple, and I think it was Josh and Sola. Sola. Do you remember Sola from
Mhm.
BNI?
Yeah.
I think it was Josh and Sola. But anyway, so we're sitting there talking, and Krista's across from me, and it's me and Josh and Krista and Sola. And my wife's face just like, right? Her and Sola, their eyes just start bugging out of their head. And then I felt the tickle. So a spider legitimately comes bombing out of my beard up onto my face at dinner. And like, no, so so this is what really what pissed my wife off is like, I was just like, oh, and I just grabbed him and I put him on the ground. I just took it off my face, set it on the ground like it was nothing. And my wife was like, could not handle that. She got up and was like, I'm leaving. Like,
That did not just
awesome,
happen.
yeah. Like, well, it's my office, man. Like, I work with those people. Like I don't. I'm not really that scared of them anymore. Like I've been in enough spaces, and to see them all scramble away from me.
Yeah, it's just office politics.
Yeah, it's just not politics. But, I also say that. And so, do you guys see this ugly purple scar here on my arm? So this was right before I went to Vegas. I got bit by something already, and it was this big ugly sore. And I had So, anyways, like it does happen. My job's probably not for everybody.
Yeah, not me, that's for sure. I would not be happy under there.
Nope. Yeah. Anyways, good stuff. Good stuff. Home inspecting. Way to go.
Cool.
So no more motorcycle team. We should do that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys do
just
like
right.
trick riding and all kinds of cool fun stuff, right?
We didn't do any like trick ride. We just formations parades.
okay.
I had some worked out maneuvers based on
No stand-up wheelies on your full-dressed Harley.
no,
That's
none
so
of that
cool. I
shit.
love watching dudes do that. That's like, and it's always like usually some big giant dude doing it. Like you just
Well, you
like,
gotta get a bunch of weight back
yeah,
there. To get it up.
yeah. And
That's
it's just like
facts,
so
yeah.
cool to watch those dudes pull that stuff off. Like I can wheelie on my dirt bike all day long or on a crotch rocket. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. I
With a
don't-
Harley.
I just
Yeah.
ride for myself now.
Yep.
Commute all summer long, just as much as I can be on it.
Yep.
I still wear my vest. We had our patches. It was a patch. It was a patch type of team, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you
Are
had
they
to earn-
still around or are they done?
Yeah, no, they're still around.
Cool. Do you want to show the patch? We can maybe let people check them out.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
all
do
about
it.
promoting people's stuff. Look at that motorcycle drill team.
Hey.
So it was a full on.
Tanino,
You earn your
Washington.
patch. It takes at least a year to earn it. Kind of like, model obviously after
Yeah.
prospecting,
Right.
right? But I still wear it because I love my time there, and I think around here where nobody really knows anything other than what they have consumed on mass media about motorcycle
Yeah.
clubs at all. I think people in their cars
Are
steer
scared.
clear of me
Yeah.
because I have a patch of
Yeah.
any kind.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Because they don't understand
No.
any of the meaning and how to read them.
No,
Yeah.
that's one of the I learned that as well with riding with a bunch of those people. Like, yeah, people are afraid. which is funny because like every biker, I've always had really good times with people. But then
Yeah.
again, I'm also
But
not
they
like
they can also switch pretty
it
fast.
can,
Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of times, like, I mean, I'm a respectful dude. Like, I don't
Oh yeah.
talk shit. I don't get in people's faces, like, ever. I mean, I'm 5'9", 170. You know, I'm not really the type of dude to get out there in somebody's face. But like, so I don't know. I've hung out with different clubs and never really had an issue.
Yeah, we had our big fundraiser
Yeah.
for the year. We threw a gigantic party called the Doo-Wah Diddy.
Okay.
The do
Doo-Wah Diddy. We held it in this farm, this guy's field in Maytown, which is a little bit south of Olympia. And the last year I was involved in it, we charged $65
Okay.
for a ticket. That got you a couple of live bands, an all-night party, dinner, a place to camp, and all the beer you could drink.
That's a good deal.
We had a panel truck, a refrigerator panel truck, and we'd go through 80 to 100 kegs
Wow.
Wow.
during this party.
Did you guys have to permit this, or is this just private property party?
It was private property party.
Okay. Well, hang on, because I want to throw one of those.
And well, this was in Washington, mind you. We did have a local Banditos chapter that was there. They basically ran security for us.
Oh, that's cool.
That's sweet.
That's
If
cool.
there was a problem, if there was an actual problem,
They would handle it immediately,
Yeah.
I'm sure,
yeah.
with severe.
Yeah.
Just,
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they were fun. They were
discrimination.
good. They were a crazy group of guys.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. They when they partied, they partied.
Back in the Spice days, like we had hooked up with a bunch of those people's, the Mongols Club and whatever, and like, yeah, dude, those were the wildest places I've ever been.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we did fun shit all day too, right? We did biker games, we did a weenie bite.
Oh yeah,
slow ride. And
did you see that? There was a big one down in West Valley this last weekend.
was there? I
Yeah,
didn't
big
see.
old show, and they had the weenie bite contest thing going on. Do you guys know what the weenie bite is? So they basically, across the middle of the road, they have a string with a hot dog, a weenie hanging on it, and you're on the back, you're riding bitch, and they ride by, and you got to try to get the hot dog.
Yeah. we only let women be on
Yeah.
P-Bit, right?
Yeah.
And the guy who ran it, it was his like measuring system sort of. He dipped him in mustard, and then if the gal said she didn't like mustard, he dipped it twice.
That's funny.
He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, true. But it's all right. Sometimes it's the best hole to be.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was a
so
good time.
what's been the biggest difference that you've seen so far? Or like the
Difference?
biggest thing that was the biggest shocker coming out here this way?
Oh, coming to
Oh,
Utah. Okay.
Movement in Western Washington, I was almost always the most conservative person in a room, and in Utah, I'm almost always the most liberal.
That's fair.
That's hysterical.
It took me about 3 months to figure out, like, oh shit, I'm the liberal here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, huh?
Yeah, I'm a Second Amendment.
Right.
Like, I didn't carry today, but I carry somewhat regularly,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because I'm in the middle of the room, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of the room, and Utah is not.
Yes. No, it's not.
And Washington is not.
No, Washington is not
Jumping
either.
from one side
Two
to the other.
extremes.
You know what's funny
Yeah.
is we actually, my wife and I, we bought this house that we're in. We were going to flip it and move to Washington, where I would have absolutely been the most conservative in the room.
Yeah. Well, it depends. The east side of the state's pretty conservative.
Yeah, closer to Idaho. Yeah.
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 There's a lot more conservative over there.
Yeah.
There's also, only like 12% of the population lives east of the mountains.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty sparse on the east
Yes,
side.
it is.
doesn't it?
Huh.
Oh, is it Joseph that's there, or is that Oregon? Huh?
It must be. I'm not familiar with Joseph.
Is it
It's
Tacoma?
Joseph
That's on the
and,
west of the Washington Mountains, or
Enterprise.
no? Is Tacoma not that far west?
Yeah, Tacoma's on the Puget Sound.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got Olympia's down at the bottom, the southern tip of the sound, and then like Tacoma's the next,
Mhm.
like more major, and then Seattle, and then Everett
That's right.
going up the sound.
Everett, the rainy place.
And it all rains everywhere. Although, like, my mom and brother still live in Snohomish, which is northeast of Seattle. And I was talking to my mom yesterday, and I was just, like, oh yeah. And she was talking about dreary and weather, and she's like, well, no, it's actually been like 80 here the last few days. I'm like, God, it's warmer than it is here. What the hell?
What's going on?
It's that Utah weather.
Yeah.
A little
Hit
bit
the side
jealous.
on itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been wonky. I get out and ride, and the next day it's raining,
Right?
downpour, and just make up your
Been
damn
driving me
mind.
crazy. Like this season, especially, I feel like it's like we get one good day and then like 4 bad days that you can't ride.
Yeah.
And then it's like another good
Or
day.
like, I mean,
I
it's
was
going to
in-
rain here in a couple hours, supposedly.
Yeah, well, I went yesterday afternoon. I was, Kyra and I, my wife, and I went to the grocery store, and we were coming back, and she's like, "Oh, look at those cool clouds, look wisping down." I'm like, "Babe, that's rain."
Yeah.
Like all of that's rain. Like, yeah, that's like a downpour.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, that's funny. It's interesting. She hasn't ever recognized that. Yeah.
It's
I'm like, you're right. It is pretty. You don't usually get it with the backdrop of a blue sky.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, you do in Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's some. I was trying to do a walkthrough on home inspection the other day, and like, literally, we're like in the sun, getting pelted with rain on the other side of your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, only in Utah can you walk across the street and get out of the rainstorm. Maybe it's everywhere, but like ours is just, if you don't like the weather in Utah, stick around 15 minutes. It will change.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, right. It's just because the valleys are so open, right?
Yeah.
Like as far as astrologically, or not astrologically.
top topography.
No, I'm thinking
Okay.
like in the sky,
not
right?
sure
Like
what that
the
is. Yeah.
airflows are so open above the valleys, and even a lot of the connecting pieces that
It just
they
grows
just
stuff.
move fast.
Yeah.
All those little systems and squalls just move fast.
So it's funny. Yesterday's rainstorm, I was over in Malad, Idaho, doing inspections, and like it was beautiful and sunshiny for my first inspection. I get to the second one, it's beautiful, and just like I was like, oh look, it's pretty over there.
Yeah.
And within minutes, dude, it was dumped an inch of rain. Like I
Yeah.
could not believe it. And then it was gone, and it was sunny again. And then Krista calls me like an hour and a half hour later, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's raining like your doors are off of your Jeep. It's like pounding rain." So
You're like,
I
wow.
that's more of an hour's drive for me, you guys, and that storm hit in an hour.
Yeah, they move fast.
Like that was my reference of how fast that sucker was cooking, because like
Yeah.
I can't drive that in an hour.
right.
It's an
yeah.
hour
Yeah.
and 30 minutes, an
Right.
hour
And
and
it's
25
because
minutes.
they just don't have a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, there's a whole mountain range, but it literally as it funnels through, it
right, the air
speeds it
just
up.
yeah, the air
Yeah.
shifts it. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
whereas like in Western Washington, or Washington in general, you've got the Cascade Range, that coastal range that's 80 to 100 miles inland, and it's tall enough. The marine layer pushes in, and it just holds it,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
it just everything just as it gets to the mountains, it just slows down and starts to rise, and then it just rains, and you just
Dang.
get that marine layer across that whole coastal plain.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then out here it's just back and
And
forth.
out
Back
here
and
it's just
forth. And then you throw in the lake effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's valid.
The west of the state's covered in water, be it salty water, but
That's very true. I hate some of my least favorite storms that I've gone through have been just going past that lake on the way out.
mhm.
Can't remember it
Down
now.
in Utah County, you mean?
Yeah.
So
in Utah. That's Utah Lake.
yeah, Utah Lake.
yeah, Utah Lake.
Yeah, that's that lake shouldn't even exist. Was it
No.
like 5 feet deep?
Yeah. And it's full of
Yeah.
diapers.
Yeah.
And gross
Yeah,
stuff.
literally.
Geneva used to just crush up all their chemicals and throw it into the water. Everyone was
Yeah.
always like, "Yeah, grow third arm if you go swimming in there."
You get
Yeah.
rashes and stuff. Yeah, that should
Mm.
not exist. No.
We used it all the time.
It is what it is, man.
Go out on a boat. You don't have to worry about drowning. You just bounce off the mud.
Hey, when
Yeah,
we were kids,
exactly.
we had a friend who had a farm and they had a duck pond, and shit, we played in the duck pond.
Yeah.
I don't like to think about the dark colored mud all over the duck pond that we played in as children. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like looking back, you're like, oh God. But I'm pretty healthy as an adult.
Yeah.
I got a strong immune system.
That's right.
Nice and
No
ground.
mad cow for Brian.
No, sir. No. Yeah, that or bird flu, I don't think is going to get me either.
Like, I already got all that.
Already. We went through it. That's funny stuff.
Oh,
So how'd you go from being I guess the accountant thing worked at the senior center because you were doing
I was
you
I
were
was
the
doing
books
the
guy.
books as well. I was already doing the books
Yep.
when I went over to operate it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so when I went over there, we just needed to right the ship, basically. Stop. They were operating
Did you guys buy it,
I
or did you kind of
no, we
like
built
progress
it.
into? Huh?
We built
You
it.
started it from nothing and found a
Yeah,
facility and started
yeah.
going. And
Well, no, we built the buildings.
oh dang,
Yeah. So my partner, the main partner, majority owner, is a general contractor and owned the ground
Yep.
from a prior 55 and up community. He built that abuts Autumn Care. And so we already had the ground, and he's already been looking for something to do with it for 10 years.
yeah.
And this idea came up, and
He was like, "Cool, let's do
yeah,
it."
cool, let's go. Yeah.
That's awesome. So he was always hands off.
Yeah, he was always hands
Good
off.
for him. Good for you guys. And that's cool. Now you're hands off, and so you get to draw a little salary from it, maybe, or not
No, not
dividends,
right
maybe.
now. Not currently. It's we had COVID was
Yep,
hard
I remember.
for us, really hard. Um, we couldn't for a year. We couldn't admit anybody new. So
Really?
yeah, for a whole year, we couldn't admit any new residents.
That's
So
They regulated
we were
you?
just losing people
That's
for a year,
crazy.
and it was brutal. Thank goodness that the government decided to give everybody a bunch of free money.
I know.
hmm
Well, kind of free. I pay like $4,500 a month for that money.
Thanks,
Income
Brian.
tax.
Appreciate
I know.
it.
Taxes.
Well, we got a bunch of free money, but we're still chipping away at that carry forward loss before we start distributing.
Fun.
Have you been getting a lot more people in
Yeah,
recently?
so we went from we're small facilities. We built the first one. We were always going to build two right up front. So we built one, and then about 8 months later, we opened the second building. And so their capacities are 16 residents in each building. So we had those two humming along pretty good last year, right around fall, but we just couldn't quite and then we built this third building. We just couldn't quite get over that hump of like having enough need so we could actually open the third building and put people in it.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to plug Rachel Jones at Wasatch Senior Care. She's the one that I met, and it really helped us get past that hurdle and get that third building
Okay.
open.
Build up
And yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Very
So
cool.
it's doing good now.
Do you guys have room for one more building? Is that right or no?
There's there is more ground there that we own. Not we.
Right, I understand. It's the
Yeah.
organization. Yeah.
Well,
Him.
not even the organization.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Yeah.
But there is still more ground available there. He built an office building kind of on that campus and is renting out that space. He's building another office building right there. But there is room that you could expand that business
Mhm.
if there was a need to do it.
Sure.
Need
Uh,
be.
yeah, but right now, so we have I think between the three buildings, it's like a 55 resident capacity.
Oh,
Cool.
wow.
Very cool.
Dang.
Very cool.
And I mean, I don't know what their pricing is right now. When I left, the top of our range was $5,250 a month.
Oh,
So it's not a cheap thing either.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Not at all.
no. That's how it is though. A lot of the time, I feel like, at least that I've seen.
Yeah, you're providing 24-hour care and supervision and meals and
Mm-hmm.
like all this
Everything.
stuff. It's and medication management and nurse, and like there's a lot of cost that goes into just being there in case.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
we can't just charge you for the times we help.
Right.
Yeah.
People got to just be there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hard. That's yeah.
No, especially we
guys-
focused on memory care. So we had everybody that lives with us had some level of memory care need. And so
Which is
they're
a lot
not
harder.
people who can make a phone call when there's a problem.
Right.
They can barely push a button when there's a problem. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Some of them can't push a button when there's a problem.
So yeah, you got to be sitting there watching.
You got to be there. You got to be checking on them all the time.
You got to be on top.
Dang.
Well, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does.
So do you guys work a lot with like insurance companies? Like do a lot of the residents
a
the
little
insurance
bit.
cover it?
You have to have specific long-term care insurance before it even touches any of the assisted livings. Medicare doesn't touch it. Medicare doesn't touch assisted livings. Medicaid does sometimes, but
Gotcha.
that program is administered through the state, and they have pretty stringent income asset requirements, and they only have so many spots that they're willing to pay for every year in the assisted living. So
Tough.
yeah, so most of our residents were private pays, so they paid out of either their assets or their families paid for it.
Gotcha.
What's been your favorite part about working in this industry?
Some of the old people are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot
Some of them
man.
have some pretty cool stories. They get a few lucid moments in there, and they come up with some pretty interesting stories. Or I didn't actually experience this, is all secondhand. Or they do some pretty interesting things, like they get lucid and upset for something, and they'll like look, and these are all stories that I heard from my CNAs. They'll like look you in the eye and then poop on the floor.
No. You're just like, really?
Oh, hey, that's one of my go-tos.
At some point, you lose like the ability to express your displeasure.
When you get old enough, and you start going backwards.
You start going
reverting
backwards
to
a little bit.
Toddler.
Is how I explained it to a lot of people. What is it like working in a memory care? What's it like working with those people? The closest thing I can make an analogy to is working with a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
They're never wrong. Don't argue with them. Like, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
Agree and then walk away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They wear diapers still, like, so that's a little past a 5-year-old, right? But they're in. You have to constantly clean up after them, and if you let them, they will get into everything.
I guess. Yeah, they get bored, and so they just
get bored. They are bored. They don't have anything to do, right? Like, a lot of times, I mean, you do as much as you can to provide activities and integrate and get them out there with the other residents, but they're bored.
Yeah.
They're bored.
Can't change board.
No. And some people are just gonna find a way to not be bored. Just the way it is.
Yep.
Like shitting on the floor.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that would be horrible. I hope that doesn't ever happen to me. God, I would be awful. I would be so awful.
It seems to be like slightly growing, but you have to remember, I mean, we were around it a lot, and I always reminded our seniors, like, look, this is not a normal part of aging.
Yeah.
Right?
These are
This is
special.
like 4
Special
to
case.
5% of people who get over the age of 70.
Yeah.
Like, it is a small percentage of people having Alzheimer's, having dementia. It's not normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just see it all the time.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
feels normal.
That's true. That's true. Good.
Well,
Made me nervous there for a minute because I was just like, man, I would be weird as a crazy.
I'm
already kinda
I like
crazy.
statistics, right? Like, so that's why I use statistics a lot.
No, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's actually good. I guess you've noticed that Melissa did too. We had a gal on here who she started that Juniper House up in Logan there, a house for girls with mental issues and stuff. And yeah, she came prepared with a bunch of statistics too for mental illness.
Oh, I don't
and
have
it's-
any preparation for it. It's just like random crap I keep in my head.
Yeah, I know, right?
The mental notes.
Yeah.
It's crazy about how much of our world is based off of the perception of, like, Freud. Like, do you know the reason why Freud was the way that he was, and like why he came up with the theories like the
Wasn't
Oedipus
he had some?
complex?
He had some mental disorder,
He
not schizophrenia, right? Or was it?
oh, Jung had the
Okay.
he had the seizures, but Freud, he came up with the Oedipus complex, where every man wants to sleep with his own mother, because of the clients that he was working with. He
Sure.
only took on the worst possible cases and the worst possible clients, and the only people that he talked
Well,
to were
those-
those bad ones.
Those are the only people in Freud's time that got any sort of psychiatric care.
Yeah.
Or people who
Oh.
had severe mental health issues.
Absolutely.
And-
And then he was doing cocaine the entire time, so
Well, I mean, he was just trying to be Sherlock Holmes.
Except
Except I think that was opium, wasn't
It
it?
was opium.
Holmes?
Holmes
Yeah.
was an opium.
Same.
Uh,
Did you? All right. Have you ever watched Rick and Morty?
A few. I'm familiar with the show. Yeah.
There's this one episode where Rick builds a battery
Okay.
that is a self-contained universe that he's convinced to create electricity using this contraption that he then siphons off like 40 or 50% of it, but it's its own society.
Okay.
And they go into this battery because it was having a problem, and there was this other scientist that basically did the same thing in his universe. But there's a scene where the guy's like, he does like a little hit of opium. He's like, no, I get it, alcohol.
Yeah, no, I get it. Alcohol.
That's funny.
That's pretty great. I remember that episode.
I haven't
One of my
seen that one. That's another probably good one I should probably try to find. That's
Oh,
hysterical.
Morty's
It's got so
good.
many,
Oh yeah.
like, my favorite quote out of that show. It comes out of the very end of this one episode, and he's like, no, it's the death isn't the problem. It's the living, right?
Mhm.
And cells consume just to live, but the only other option is death, and you can't side with that.
Mhm.
So you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have some really good ones. Like some of my favorite. Well, granted, every time I think of Rick and Morty, the immediate reaction is Morty, Morty. But they have one that's like a wubba wubba dub dub.
Yeah, in the first season.
Yeah, wubba wubba.
Rick, and for the first couple seasons, they kept giving him these little catchphrases, and he just kept changing. And then like later on, like in season 3 or 4, you find out wubba lubba dub dub is like Squanchy's species, like fuck off, let's go.
Help me, I'm in pain.
Or something. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
But it was something in like some other like species language.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Birdman.
Bird man.
Birdman. Oh, Birdman's hilarious.
He's bird
just like-
person. He's bird person.
Bird person. Did they change it to
Bird person is bird person.
No, it's bird person because his species don't believe in names or genders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course. 4-year-old episode, roughly 3-4-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, he was a recurring character,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. That's funny.
and
then,
he was Rick's best friend.
Rick's best friend.
Yeah.
there was another guy that just runs around. He's like, shoot me. And oh no, Mr. Oh,
Mr. Meeseeks.
No.
the Meeseeks was a good one though too. But I'm thinking of the guy where like they were trying to kill each other and all.
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Mr. Poopy
Oh my
Butthole.
goodness. This is obviously not a kid's cartoon.
No.
And in the that
Adult
episode,
Swim.
he's in Mr. Poopy Butthole's in the hospital because there was this invasive species that would create memories and so they were killing everything in the house, like everything.
It was a massacre episode.
and they figured out, oh, these things can only create good memories, and that's how good memories of themselves. And so they're like, oh, I don't have any good memories either. So one of the characters shot him, and he's in the hospital, and they were out there checking on him, and the nurse comes out, and she goes, he just wanted to say he's sorry you don't have any bad memories of him.
They're all like, oh, dang it.
Moral of the story: make sure you make shitty memories with your family.
You're gonna have to have that.
Take that
Okay.
baby once
So
in a
Rick and
while.
Morty, we're all gonna have to spend a little time learning about Rick and Morty,
Yeah.
watching the show. Well, cool, you guys. That's about our time for our podcast today. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. I told you it would go fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our little audio spike in the beginning, we don't warn people about that because it always makes them laugh and chuckle and it gets them out of their head and then they're just like having a good time.
Good.
So glad that
No
still
worries.
works it's like a surefire thing.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like even we had that therapist, Melissa was really stressed out about being on here until Joe did that. And then she's like started giggling. I was like, yeah, there it is.
There we are.
So we got that figured out. Yeah, you guys, if you guys like the show and you guys want to see us help see more and help us keep doing this, then like, subscribe, give us a comment and a follow. So thanks for your time. See you guys.
Sweet.